Right, so today I want to make a video about this story from the CBC, and it's titled Canadian Families Will Pay Nearly $500 More in 2020 for Food, report says. And it's also other headline Canada's Food Price Report 2020 Cities Changing Weather Patterns Elephant in the Room as big factor. Now they go on to, I mean, I might read a little bit about it, but they basically go on to blame climate change and how that's the what's bringing up the cost, which depending on how you interpret that it is, but I mean it's not because of climate change, it's because of the carbon tax and regulations and whatnot, but and rising inflation, all this kind of stuff. It's basically all caused by leftist government policies. And the problem with stuff like this is that a lot of, I wouldn't say, I don't know how to put it, people who aren't as astute or smart um, aren't going to notice something like this, because the only kind of people that are going to notice something, I mean, everyone's going to notice it because it's less money in their pocket, but the people that are really going to notice it are the people that are smart and the people who track how much they spend. Poor people don't track how much they spend, right? Because I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they don't do it for the same reasons. Smart people track everything in their life because anyone who knows what they're talking about in any field knows that if you want to get better at something, you need to figure out how good you're currently doing at it and figure out how you're going to get better at it. And to figure out how you're going to get better at it, you have to track it. So if you want to save money, or maybe you want to save money and you spend it somewhere else, well, you track how much you spend on groceries. And since people generally eat relatively the same stuff, you'll be able to track pretty accurately an increase or a decrease. So that's basically going over that. And the point here being, let's maybe read a little bit about it and see what they say. Um, the average Canadian family will pay up to an extra $487 for food next year, according to an annual report that highlights climate change as a big culprit for rising prices, especially in the produce department. Again, this is such, oh my god, it's so bizarre and annoying. Climate change is not an issue whatsoever. If anything, climate change should help the produce department because for vegetables and whatnot, because if climate change is this big issue, more CO2 means more plant growth, which means crop yields, um, growing vegetables and all this stuff should become easier. So if anything, prices should be going down. So they really fail to tell you that prices are going up because of the carbon tax and other regulations put in by the Trudeau Liberals and local NDP governments. So unexpected snowstorms, droughts, and other weather events have impacted crops and food prices in the past, says Simon Samgagi, lead researcher from Ontario's University of Guelph. And again, climate change, increased CO2 doesn't lead to increased snowstorms, droughts, or any of that stuff. Increased CO2, which isn't nearly as bad as what people make it out to be, it's actually good in a lot of ways. But anyways, it increases crop yields because anyone knows that if you work, the reason why greenhouses exist is because they can pump CO2 in there and increase plant growth and basically crop yields. So this idea that climate change is bad for plants and whatnot is, it's complete BS. And let's read a little bit more here. Um, Canadian farmers will face challenges in the future dealing with unpredictable crop yields, heat wave livestock threats, pasture availability, and pest and disease outbreaks. Again, find me a farmer who doesn't want more CO2. Again, they don't really exist. So the link between climate change and food prices comes with a forecast that the average Canadian family will spend $12,607 on food at grocery stores in 2020. That's 2 to 4% more than in 2019. And the thing that bothers me so much is that it's because of policies implemented by people that support this kind of stuff. That's why food is more. If we cut regulations, got rid of the carbon tax, food prices would be steady. If we didn't go into such massive debts thanks to leftist governments, inflation would stay lower, and we could save money on food. It makes no sense whatsoever. And they conveniently convince stupid people to go for this kind of stuff because dumb people aren't smart enough to put two and two together on this kind of stuff. They think that it's, the greedy store owner, that they just want to make an extra buck. Like, literally, that's what I've seen a lot of people suggest. And so the CEO of Walmart can make more money, like crap like that. It's so boring and repetitive, and just it bothers me a lot. And for the smaller priced items, that stuff's not even marked up that much. So again, it doesn't make that much sense. Like big stores rely on volume to make their money. They don't rely on jacking up the price of stuff, because if stuff gets too expensive, people aren't going to buy it. So they rely on the fact that people buy a lot of it, and they rely on stuff. They rely on like the last minute, transportation, that just the right amount of stuff's constantly being brought in, so they don't need to spend extra money on keeping stuff in the back. That's this kind of way they make their money. But back to the main point being is that I don't understand. Like, if you want to believe in climate change and how it's this big issue, I'm going to disagree with you vehemently, but go ahead. But don't wanting to put in policies like this, the carbon tax, all this kind of stuff. That's personal. Like, then it gets really personal, because that's money out of my pocket. That's money out of people I know's pocket, and it's money that shouldn't be out of our pocket. And people are increasingly becoming dependent on living paycheck to paycheck, because the Trudeau Liberals have done so much damage. I mean, it's not just them, obviously, but the Trudeau Liberals, the NDP, even some conservative policies have been bad. And I mean, a lot of them aren't actual true conservative. They're more or less neoconservative policies, but that's another point. But this stuff's hurting people, and the thing that I can't really wrap my head around is that you have all these people that it's like they have Stockholm syndrome, I guess is the best way of putting it. Is that they defend, like, in one hand they'll say, yeah, I'm struggling to get by, but on the other hand they'll be like, yeah, we need to keep these policies. Like, that's something I can't stand. Like, if you read, I know it's not a perfect analysis for what the real world is, but you read Twitter comments, YouTube comments, and some of these big channels, and you see these people, and they're, like I say, they'll complain that I'm barely getting by. Everyone I know is barely getting by, but yet they'll defend these, the carbon tax and all these kind of things. It's like, what planet do you live on? Like, seriously. So I don't want to talk too much about this issue. I think I've got the point across. So if you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.